Hey people, coming at you tonight. I'm in the kitchen. Beautiful day out. I just be inside. I was outside pretty much all day. Today I'm coming. I've had some questions, um, some comments, but I've had some questions. People DM me asking me, you know, what I did in my day. How did I get through a day? So it's real. I mean, it shouldn't take long, but I'll touch on how I spent my days. Um, Getting through this, especially the early days, because the early days were hell. They were straight up hell. Coming out of that relationship. So uh, first things first was and I still don't, and I have that has not been remedied yet. My sleep has gotten better over the last few months, but it's still not where it needs to be. It's not great. I average 3 or 4 hours of sleep a night. Um, but now those 3 or 4 hours are those 3 or 4 hours used to be sporadic. I'd wake up all the time. Now I'm sleeping through 3 or 4 hours, and I'm waking up at 4 hours at the most. But you really need to try to get as much sleep as you can. Rest is huge in this. The job that I had, the career that I had chosen back then, that I was in, was highly stressful, and stacked on what I was going through at the time, and the lack of sleep and the lack of rest didn't help. And I was working out all the time. That was my go. That was my escape. That was my escape. Work was also my escape. But working out was my vehicle, my tool to expel that energy. So start off, try to get as much sleep. If you have to go to bed early, I don't know what your lifestyle is like. I don't know what your home life is like, but try your best. If you have to set up boundaries, parameters, whatever it is, so that you can get your rest, do that. Now, secondly, was I would wake up early every day. Um, and I say early because I worked second shift in that job. And so I wouldn't get off until like 10 o'clock at night. Now, then I would go to the gym afterwards and spend a couple hours in the gym. I'd go home, and then I would sleep, and then I'd wake up because when I'm up, I'm up. So usually 5 o'clock at the latest is when I'd wake up, and it's still that way. However it is that you do, and you're up, the first thing you need to do, and I still try to practice this today, is do not touch your phone. Don't touch your device. Don't touch your tablet. Don't touch your computer. Don't touch your laptop. Whatever it is, leave it sit. All right. Now you do need to sit up. You need to get out of bed. You need to get your mind and your body working. Now you can go back and sit down. I had a recliner in my bedroom, so I would get from the bed and then I would move to the recliner because I was up anyway. But lying in bed, I had to get moving. I had to get my brain, my mind moving. So once I got to that space, once I got to that area, then I spent that time. And you do it however you want to, whether it's meditation, prayer, reading scripture, whatever it is, self-help books, whatever it is, motivational, anything. You need to start your day off on a positive note. You need to start your day off on a positive note. And I don't mean that telling yourself you're a good person, you're beautiful. I don't mean that. I mean go deep. Go deep. Go where that hurt is. Go where that hurt is. And cover that. Cover that with positivity. I do that. Now this is every day, and I still do it to this day. Then there are days that I don't do it because I'm so far along now that I don't really have to do it every day, but I still take the time to do it at some point, especially in the morning. Now, that will train your brain and your mind, that as it did me, it trained my brain, it trained my mind, and even my body and my spirit to start the day off positive. Because we all know every day is going to be filled with negativity, whether it's from your job, your family, whatever it is, your spouse, whatever it is, negativity is going to come. You need to have that foundation for the day set. Because if you start with your day and you don't handle that negativity, you're going to absorb it, and you're not going to be able to repel it as efficiently or as effectively as you'd start off the day positive. Now, when those negative things come, because look, I don't care how far along you are in your process, in this walk, this journey. As I had mentioned before in a previous video, even though you may have scars, hurt, past things are going to come up. And thankfully for those scars that I have, they don't hurt me anymore. A lot of them don't hurt me. When those come and you're not healed, you've got to let them come. Okay? You've got to let them come. You've got to accept them. You have to accept them. Because if you don't accept them, then you're living in denial. And you will never reach the level of healing that you need if you're in denial about it. And I don't mean whatever somebody had said to you that you accept it as truth. What I mean is that you accept it, that it was said and that it was done. And then you process it and you tell yourself, no. Okay? You don't just tell yourself no, you believe in yourself that it's no. So you have to feel it, you have to accept it. Then you have to let it go. That's the hard part. You have to let it go. And don't think that if you think about it again, if it comes up again, or you can't let it go, that you're failing. That's not failing. It's a process. It's not something that comes in, you deal with it, and it's gone. And then you never think about it again, or it never comes up again. Or it happens like that. There's been times that I've sat my entire session in the morning on one thing because I could not let it go. I could not let it go. And you'll know it. You'll feel it when you're able to let it go. You may have to do that 100 times in a day. You may have to do that. Every time it comes up, you'll have to do it. But doing this first thing in the morning sets your day. It kind of gets like the wheels get moving, the gears get moving, so that as they come at you again during the day, because they're going to come, and you know what I'm talking about, that you can deal with them more effectively when they do come later on. Also, I had to give myself what I needed. And that's still true today. And that's true for all of us. I don't care where you are. You have to give yourself what you need. Whether it was something that you weren't given as a kid, or in a relationship, you need to give yourself that. It has to come from you first anyway. I cannot depend on my partner to fulfill me in ways that I can't even fulfill myself. Okay? So you need to be able to give yourself what you need. If you're not there, that's fine. But that is telling you something. Okay? That's telling you something. If you're not there, if you can't do that, it's okay. It's all right. But that's telling you something. That's something that you need to deal with. All right? And I mean, just on down the road, whenever that is that personally for me, again, you guys know, those of you that know me know that I went a long time without being in a relationship, still single. And because I knew there were things I had to deal with, and I mean really, really deep things that I had to deal with before I wanted to even introduce myself into a relationship, because I knew I was toxic. And I don't mean that in a negative way, and as negative as it sounds, but I knew that I hadn't healed, and I would end up projecting. And I do that at times on certain people unintentionally, but I do it, and they call me out on it. And they're right. So give yourself what you need. Starts there. It starts there. As I told you before, you can only love to the level that you love yourself. You can only love to the level that you love yourself. It hurts. I know it hurts. Hurts badly. Hurts really, really, really badly. But you've got to be able to separate yourself from what it is that you believed was real or honest or true, and put yourself in the moment of the reality of what is now, whatever that moment is. And again, this is something I have to do every day. Every day. Also, in this time, it's got to be, I should have said this firstly, but you need to have this is yourself. This is your time. Completely your time. As I said though, phones off, don't touch the stuff. And that's why for me it was early, because I knew nobody else was up early enough to bother me or to interrupt me in this time. But I made sure that I didn't touch my phone, I didn't touch my watch, I didn't touch my tablet, my laptop, whatever it was, the TV, even the radio. When you get up and you transition your body and your mind and your spirit into this space, nothing else. Get yourself right, because that's what you're focused on. This is what you're focusing on, is you. That's what I had to focus on, was me. I didn't want any other interruptions, any other distractions. Now, that sounds really easy. I know it sounds easy. Those of you that are doing it, those of you that are going through this or starting it even, it's not easy. It's really, really, really hard. And let me tell you, it's coming from me. You will have moments, emotional moments. Let them happen. Let them happen. God, let them happen. Do not stop them. Again, you're by yourself. You have got to be able to be by yourself. If you're living with someone, you have a partner, you have a spouse, whatever it is, family, you need to say, hey, let them know. Now, I was by myself, so I didn't have this issue. But you've got to say, look, from this time to this time, they may not even be awake, but you still need to let them be aware of that. From this time to this time, I cannot be interrupted. Outside of an emergency, I cannot be interrupted. And you've got to go into this space and deal with what you need to deal with. Now, again, I said this was every day for me. Every day is how I started, every day. Now, it did not necessarily make my days go by easier, especially early on. But what I knew that eventually they would get easier. I knew eventually they would get easier, and they did. So, excuse me. It sounds easy, but this is what I did. Some of you have asked how I did that, how I got through the early days. A lot of prayer. I did have outside help as far as friends and family goes, but nobody understands like you do. Nobody. Even though I've been through it and I went through hell, I went through literal hell, I don't understand you in your position or where you are in this as well as you do. You will never understand me. So as tough as it sounds, it falls on you. Do the work. Do the work. And it is work. But doing the work, you will find eventually. And some of you will say, yes, it's a distraction. In a way it is. Yes, it is. But if you're doing it correctly and you're doing what you need to do, you're healing as well. Am I happy? I'm happy. Yes, I have bad things happen to me still. Yes, I have bad days, bad moments. Stuff like life comes at us still. But I'm happy. I'm happy because I dealt with that stuff. I dealt with myself, my insecurities, my inadequacies, and but it's what I had to do, and I knew it. But I didn't have a coach. At this time, I didn't have a therapist or anything. And because I knew, for me anyway, and I'm not saying don't do that. I'm not saying don't get a therapist, don't get a counselor or anything like that. If you feel like that's what you need, then go do it by all means. But me, myself, and I knew personally that I had to buckle down. I had to strap myself in, and I had to do this on my own. By my own, I mean I had to do this as it came at me. And because you spend an hour with the counselor, an hour with the therapist, whatever, then you're gone for the day. And you may not be able to spend time with yourself again that day. And I'm telling you, this is an everyday thing. Everyday thing. Now, my days do not start out as intensely as this as they used to, but this basic concept principle is still in effect. I still use it. And like I said, days, I have bad days. I have bad moments. Bad things happen to me. Bad things will happen to you. But you've got to have a foundation for that day. They're not easy. They're not easy. Finally, if I went in on this, express yourself. You have to express yourself. Not in a toxic manner either. Okay? Not in a toxic manner. Now, some people will take you as maybe toxic, manipulative, but again, it's all about you. It is all about you. And if you cover up what it is you're feeling, what it is that you need to express, if you cover that up, you're not healing. You're tucking that away again, and you're going to have to deal with it later. So express yourself. Whatever that means, whether it's social media, whether it's in conversation, express yourself. Be kind. Always be kind. But express yourself and make your point known. Because you don't want to go on with this through the beginning days, through your healing, to even now, to like where I am. You don't want to go through that and not say what you mean. Okay? I'm an introvert. I know a lot of you out there are introverts, and it's tough. It's really tough. But for me, and I'd have to imagine it'd be the same for you, that when you express yourself in truth, you feel a whole lot better. I felt a whole lot better when I did. And there were no questions from anyone as far as to what I might be thinking or what I might be communicating to someone. I was very clear with them. So when those moments arise, express yourself. Respectfully, but express yourself. All right, I hope this helps some of you guys. Like I said, ask your questions. Keep them coming. They're good. And I'll address them as I can. All right, we'll see you.